Thank you for that nice lead-in, Brian. I hope you all got the joke that that was a theme song from Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Right? What's that? Oh, good. Is this better? All right. Have you ever had to rethink a preconceived notion? Yeah, I certainly have. When I was in college, I determined to go to a big, prestigious university for graduate school, thinking it was my ticket to owning the world by the time I was 30. It turned out that a large, high-powered institution didn't suit me at all. I didn't like being in huge lecture halls with 100 other students, didn't like having to compete for attention with for the attention of research-oriented professors. I tried to make it work for a year, but I just couldn't, and I left in defeat. I took a low-level job, an entry-level job at an oil company, while I rebuilt my confidence. When I was ready to go back to grad school, my boss urged me to go to another prestigious university so that I could get a job, like a big job, in a petroleum company, which was not my intention. But I did look at a few of those big prestigious universities, and I ended up settling on a smaller program at a smaller, less renowned university where the professors focused on teaching and on mentoring their master's degree students. It was a small department where everybody knew each other well. It took a while for me to stop judging myself for giving up on the big-name school and a hotshot advisor. But I came to love the gifts of the program that I chose, including an advisor who, it turned out, was both a hotshot scientist and an excellent human being. My choices brought me all the opportunities I needed for a great career. And I share this story because, of course, it's easy to get hung up on our preconceived notions about small congregations, too. We have certain expectations about large, powerful congregations that can do all kinds of things in the world and sponsor lots of programs and that kind of thing. And we're not that right now, are we? And yet, we have a lot going on. And I want to thank Joe for suggesting that I talk about this very topic, because it's a good one. In his book, The Strategically Small Church, Brandon O'Brien says, the disadvantage of a small church like NVUU isn't our worship style or a lack of resources. Rather, our primary problem is perception. He says we need to become comfortable in our small church skin to recognize the benefits of being small and to put their unique potential to work. How many of you attended NVUU 10 years ago? And 5 years ago? Yeah. And so if you did, you would know that in those days, there were about 90 members with an average attendance at weekly worship of around 70, according to your church record. I'll bet it's easy to feel nostalgic about those days. And it's understandable if you see that decrease in size since then as a failure. But whose failure? I mean, look at what has beset this congregation in the past 10 years. Wildfires, the coronavirus pandemic, multiple turnovers in ministry, many members dying or moving away. There are probably others you can think of as well. And yes, there has also been some conflict that led some folks to leave. There may have been some personal failings here and there, and, my own included. But let's be clear. The shrinkage you have experienced is not a failure. It is simply part of the cycle of NVUU's history. And so, right now, I invite you all to let go of any shame or blame that you may be feeling. Because I'm here to tell you that NVUU, this small, tenacious religious community, is alive and well and full of potential for many more years of shared ministry in this region. And that is some good news, right? And it's good news for those who have come to this congregation in more recent times when you were small, right? It's great news. So NVUU is now officially a family-sized congregation, which means one with 50 members or less. It's different than it was, and we can work with that. Being family-sized has its challenges, which I'll get to in a bit, but it also has advantages. And O'Brien says that if we're strategic about it, a small congregation can be intimate, meaning that everyone gets to know each other and feel a part of the group. Nimble, meaning able to change with changing resources and interests. Authentic, meaning able to be true to its values without artifice or hoopla. And effective, able to do its good work in a sustainable manner. And that sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah. So we're going to try something for a moment. I would love for you to turn to some of your neighbors, kind of get in little groups, and talk for a moment about how NVUU is intimate, nimble, authentic, effective, or maybe how it might become more so. So can we just take a couple of minutes and maybe move a little bit if you need to, or turn in your seat, and just chat with each other for a minute. All right, let's bring those conversations to a close for now. Because we have more to talk about. let's carry on those conversations after the service, because I want to know what you're talking about. But I don't want to stop at the moment, so after the service, we can talk all about it. All right, I'm going to keep going, so. So the literature on church sizes and functionalities says that family-sized churches really do operate a lot like families. On the downside, family-sized churches can get stuck in, this is how it's always been done. They can be cliquish and can expect new members to fit a particular mold if they want to be welcomed into the congregation. And they often have just a couple of elders who act as the head of the family and who have to have the final say in every decision. Now, on the upside, and here's the good news for NVUU, small congregations can indeed be quite nimble, modifying programs as needed to match the needs, desires, and resources of members. Family-sized UU congregations can focus on the values of pluralism, equity, and transformation as they welcome new members in covenantal community, which means being willing to change a little bit as new people come. And about those elders, well, one advantage that NVUU has is that when it was larger, that power structure got kind of diffused. And so no one person has the veto power on everything here, at least not that I'm aware of. And, you know, if I'm fired next week, you'll know that I erred. But I think that's correct. So that's a good thing. More good news, small congregations can live their values just as well as large congregations, perhaps even more so. O'Brien says that we just need to stop trying to be what we're not and start being authentically what we are. We need to think critically, he says, about the way our congregation's behavior aligns with its stated values, and then live those values. Now, we can think of the work of the congregation and the work of each of us here as living those values in three dimensions: nurturing one's own spiritual and ethical sense through personal practices and exploration, nurturing inward relationships with others at NVUU for companionship and support, and nurturing an outward relationship with neighbors near and far through invitation and service. So if we live our values well in these three areas, and you're already doing this, it won't matter if we grow or not, because we will be living principles of service with love at the center. And I also think that if we're living this way, that people will continue to be attracted to NVUU, and they will feel like they can find a home here. Now, it's true that we can't offer the programs all the programs that large congregations can. And as described in that reading by Darcy Lane, we can't have all the committees and do all the things. But if we are thoughtful and selective, we can offer programs that meet the needs of our people within the congregation. And we can put our passion and values to work in the community in ways that don't deplete our reserves, like partnering with organizations that you already participate in. And we do some of that now. And we can do that from a sense of abundance, right? Of knowing that the world needs what we have. They need this message of Unitarian Universalism. And if we can do that in a way that is sustainable, that brings each person joy, rather than, and kind of kindles our passions rather than feeling like we're just doing too much, then this really is sustainable and very, very effective. So I want to pause for another minute and let you talk to your neighbors about how, where and how you bring your UU values to this congregation and the larger community. Think about that, where and how you bring your UU values to this congregation and to the larger community. We'll just take a couple of minutes and chew on that a little bit. All right, has everyone had a chance to express something? Because we should move on. Coffee's a-waiting. All right. So I liked what I was hearing there. Interesting thoughts going around. And I'm not going to pause and have you share them now, but we'll talk more, again, over some coffee. So there's one more aspect that has to do with growth of the congregation that we need to talk about. Because I think a lot of you, and I would still love to see if we can get more people coming through the doors, more people participating here at NVUU. Wouldn't that be nice? So I often hear people say things like, let's have a friendship Sunday or a bring a neighbor to church Sunday. And it's an interesting idea, and I've just done one of those, I think, since I've been here. And it was nice, it was fun. And a couple of you even brought somebody, which was amazing. But I argue that every day can be a day when you tell a friend about this great church that puts love into action, that supports your shared values and nurtures your spiritual growth. And every Sunday should be a good day to bring a friend to NVUU. If you have second thoughts about that, ask yourself whether it's maybe because you're shy or afraid of being branded a proselytizer, right? In which case, maybe it's time to root out some old programming, right? Maybe it's okay to share a little bit about what you love about this community. And maybe your hesitation could be about because you're afraid this community will disappoint your friend or you. And if that's the case, we need to talk about that. We really do. I want to talk about how you feel maybe we're missing the mark somehow. Because we can take care of that. We can address that, right? Oh, we can address that. Sorry, Ellen, I'm being too quiet. But, you know, if you're worried that we're missing the mark somehow in being friendly, being open, being welcoming, then let's talk and see if we can make some changes that will make us more so. Because we can be nimble, and we can strive to be ever more authentic with one another. If we make growth the goal, though, we are missing an opportunity. Let's accept the size we are today and be the best family-sized congregation we can be. Let's make that the goal. As you probably know, I have committed to continue serving NVUU for at least the next 2 years. And hopefully, really, I was not fishing for that, but I appreciate it. And hopefully beyond. So I'm committed to that, and I'm excited about it, as I think you are as well. And so my sense is that now is the time to reassess what this community is and what it can be. If we work at this together, can I guarantee that NVUU will grow in numbers? Sure, yes, I can't guarantee it. But what I am sure of is that NVUU will strengthen its ministry of love to its members and the larger community. And I am sure that NVUU will continue to be a beacon of hope that burns ever brighter, inviting a world of seekers home. May it be so. Amen. And now for our closing hymn. I've chosen a song that is generally sung as a prayer of unity for all people and nations. It's 318, We Would Be One. But as we sing it today, I encourage you to let the we in this song be NVUU. Let us pledge ourselves anew to living for each other, to show all a new community. And now please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 318.